The hosts of bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
All right. We are talking the second half of Most Muricanist Thing, which, by the way, we decided was going to be called Red, White, and Bracket. So that's what it's going to be titled. Retroactively, that's what I'm going to name these episodes.
I'm down for that.
And so I want you to, we're going to get into the imaginary space. So Dan, I'm going to need you to put your imaginary hat on. Okay? Imagination. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to give you a list of like cookout foods, like traditional barbecue foods that are at a barbecue. Like a backyard barbecue, not like a barbecue restaurant.
So like a cookout though, not a barbecue.
A barbecue cookout.
Okay.
And I want you to rank them 1 to 5 on which one you would trust most with national state secrets and which ones you would trust least.
So which food is the least trustworthy?
Yeah. Which one is the biggest risk for our national security?
Okay.
All right. Hot dogs.
Which food looks most like Pete Hegseth?
Hot dogs.
Off to a strong start. Okay.
Ribs.
Potato salad. Baked beans. Cornbread.
I mean, off rip, I gotta say potato salad's up there in the suspect category.
Really?
What?
Why?
Wait, really?
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. What were these foods again? Hot dog?
Hot dog.
Ribs.
Hot dogs, ribs.
Uh-huh.
Potato salad.
Uh-huh.
Baked beans.
Cornbread.
Are you just... Do you not hear me?
That wasn't obnoxious at all.
I'm helping.
Okay, hot dog, ribs, potato salad, baked beans, cornbread. I don't have the memory for that. I got it now. Wrote it down.
All right, so number 1 rated is that's top secret, right?
Most trustworthy is number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Least trustworthy is number 5. What do you have against potato salad, Dan?
Look, I'm saying
You have a lot in common with potato salad.
I don't want to know, but here's what I'm saying. All right, potato salad.
Creamy
One
white.
of the key ingredients in potato salad is mayonnaise. You know what doesn't do well in extended periods of sunlight exposure? Mayonnaise.
What's that got to do with national secrets?
You know what's going to crack under pressure first? Potato salad. Like when those Russians start ripping off potato salad fingernails or whatever their equivalent is, potato salad's going to fold like a cheap table.
Pulling out chunks of onion? Is that the equivalent?
Yeah, exactly.
I hate to say this with every fiber of my being, but it actually makes kind of good sense.
I think we got it, but hold on. We're not in a situation where they already have the secrets, right? We're trying to determine who we should give the secrets to. I think you're making an assumption about potato salad, but we know that hot dogs are characters of questionable material, right? They're not trustworthy, inherently not trustworthy.
Unless they're all beef.
What parts of the beef, Dan? What are you eating right there?
Look, it's
beef.
Probably the worst parts of the beef, but at least you know the animal from which the meat came.
Cow ass is still
just because
beef.
I know somebody came from fucking one state doesn't mean there's not a shitty part of that state.
Yeah.
I get it, but
I feel like hot dogs have the worst credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like they're going to be easily bought.
Whoa.
No, I am 100% saying potato salad is the most sus.
Okay. You've gotten me onto your side. Under extended periods of stress or
so what you're saying it's going to crack under pressure?
Yeah.
It's going to spoil.
Yeah.
And a hot
It's going to
dog
give
won't?
away all them secrets.
I
Look,
mean-
hot dogs can be absolutely fine in the sun for all fucking day.
But again, I do think they have questionable material. I think
Go ahead.
all right, so we have your two worst ones. I think, to me, you got to look at baked beans and wonder if there's this many already, how many more baked beans is it going to share things with?
Oh, you shut your whore mouth.
I have a question,
right
too.
Now.
When we're
Baked
speaking
beans are an American treasure.
if we're talking about it being untrustworthy, right? How do you make baked beans? How do you make baked beans? Someone answer the fucking question.
You make it
heat them
inside
up.
on the stove,
You
and
heat
then you
them
take
up on
them
the
outside.
stove. You heat them on the stove. That's not baking.
You could put them
No, they're
into
lying.
the oven.
They're lying right off the bat. They
Right.
are not
No.
baked beans.
No, they are telling you how you should cook them, and we
Have you shut
are
the fuck
lazy
up. Have you
and just
ever
don't do it
have
that
you
way.
ever has anyone ever put a can of Bushes in the fucking oven? No, you put them in a pot on the stove. Don't you even try that bullshit. You brainwashed baked bean bastard. Those things are they're not baked.
You're taking from Big Baked Bean.
The name alone is misleading. And then Bushes, only one guy and his dog know the secret ingredient, the secret recipe, and it's such a big deal. It's a secret.
Hey.
No, baked beans. I might be changing my stance here. They might be less
That
trustworthy than
dog
hot dogs.
Is a national treasure.
That dog
I
is.
would trust my secrets
Hey, Dan,
with that
You
dog.
can
Hey, Dan.
give a.
You
can give a
realize
Medal
those
of Honor
commercials
without
were on
giving
when we were
secrets.
kids, right?
That dog is still alive.
That dog is dead.
No,
I hate
that
to
dog
say
is
it,
still alive.
but in reality,
my brother was on a flight with that dog.
that dog, I'm sure. Hey, did you know there were 6 different dogs that played the Taco Bell Yo Quiero dog? 6 of them.
Yeah, and all of them
Are also probably dead.
lesser trustworthy than the
Whoa,
big
Okay.
beans.
whoa, now we're getting racial.
Well,
No.
hold on.
Chihuahuas definitely yap too much to be trustworthy.
Okay, that's fair,
you-
but that's not
you
the
tell
dog that's
that
on the
to-
list.
You tell that to Oliver.
You mean the dog that barks in every fucking episode of this podcast?
That's not true at all, to be
I
honest.
bet you if I made a loud enough knocking sound, I could get Ollie to bark right now.
It's not
All right,
true.
hold on.
Let's
This has
get
gotten
back on
personal.
topic.
We're way
Okay.
off track.
Yeah, I don't know where these shots came from.
Yeah, Ollie's
I do-
taking strays.
Sorry, someone got a
I-
Roman
I-
candle at this cookout.
I want to make a point for most trustworthy. All right.
Okay.
I think cornbread and ribs are both trustworthy.
I agree.
But
Agreed. Yeah.
I think cornbread has a little bit more to play for, right? It has a little bit more to protect any national secrets that we need to provide to them.
It could be seen as soft.
Because it can be seen as soft. It's sweet up front, but if you eat it too quick or if too much of it, you're going to die.
I mean, and it does have a Wait, what?
You can choke. On the
Oh, okay,
cornbread.
okay. It does have a history of being paired with jalapeno, so it's got some spiciness to it as well.
It can
have
have some
a
kick,
spicy
you know what I
side.
mean?
Ribs
And-
though have a backbone, you know? They've got strength.
do.
They've
Well,
got
it's
integrity.
I've got rib bones, but it's close
they
enough.
got rib bones.
It still
But
is structural integrity.
If you cook ribs properly, what is the hallmark saying of properly cooked ribs?
This is a fair point. They fall off
the
the
meat
bone.
falls off the
Yeah.
bone, which means them secrets gonna fall right off the bone.
Well, does it mean that, or does it mean that the secrets die with the ribs because they just lose their bone? They just fall into a gooey pile of rib meat.
Oh, I see. They're taking the ribs. They're taking the secrets down with them in the smoker.
They're taking the secrets. They're
Because
taking the secrets to the grave.
once your meat's falling off the bone, you're effectively dead at that point. But now hold on. That's not fair because that's just cooked, right? We could say potato salad at that point. The potatoes are cooked. Hot dogs. I'm thinking of a cooked hot dog, not a cold one. I don't know. That changes the parameters of what we're talking about a little bit.
Well, hold on. I do think Matt was onto something. I can't believe we're going this deep into this topic.
You found your imagination hat.
You got us talking about food. It's the thing the 3 fattest
true.
guys on this podcast are passionate about.
So here is the only three guys on this podcast. So here's the thing that Matt said that I wholeheartedly agree with. Cornbread is the clear, safest choice for the top secrets. Because think about it. Cornbread is delectable. It's sturdy. It's filling. You can put all kinds of accoutrement into cornbread, much like the melting pot of America, and it brings all of those flavors, whether it be actual pieces of corn or jalapeno, brings them together in one protective, delicious casing.
This is a bit of an aside, but if you put actual pieces of corn in my cornbread, fuck you as a person. Moving on.
Fuck you then.
There should not
I've
actually
also,
corn in cornbread. That's not right.
it is meant to be cornmeal, but
Yes.
so I'm not opposed to what you're
I have
saying,
had
but I have seen it
cornbread
and it's
with-
good.
Yeah, it is good.
Now, what I will say, cornbread I've also seen with bacon in it, and so that's
Oh.
fun.
Sign me up.
Also good. Yeah.
So I think at this point we got I think we have a clear number one,
Cornbread.
cornbread.
I agree.
Then we have a clear tie for last place, which is potato salad, hot dogs, and baked beans.
I think we're okay to put ribs at number 2.
Ribs is a solid
Well,
number 2. None of the other three
Yeah.
are going to compete against ribs.
Ribs will
All right.
give you a solid number 2.
Yes. There you go.
So,
So-
cornbread, if you're listening,
And we
Go
know
ahead.
you are.
reach out
No,
to.
we gotta commit to this. We gotta finish 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to actually? Okay, all right. I mean, I think that I do think a hot dog is questionable, but I don't think it's the worst option at this point.
I think
I would.
I-
It's the second worst.
I think there's aspects of hot dog that we haven't considered yet either. They're again inherently not trustworthy just from the contents of their character. Like, they come in such a variety of background. There's no commitment. Sometimes it's beef, sometimes it's turkey, sometimes it's pork, sometimes it's just a mixture of them all. And they have no loyalty to any one region. There are Chicago dogs, there are New York dogs. There's differences. There's a Midwest dog. There's differences across regions. These hot dogs don't have any kind of loyalty to a location.
Now, counterpoint. Sorry, Dan. I know you have something. Counterpoint. At times, hot dogs can be slippery. So if they get caught, there's a possibility they can get out of it.
There's a
You're going a different form of slippery than I was.
only for guzzling.
Scott has never had trouble wrangling a wiener.
I was the 2-time hot dog eating champion in the call center we used to work at. Is slippery really the type of character you want on your side? Are you ever really going to be able to trust that person? They're more than likely looking out for their own interests.
Potentially, and I think that that's a valid statement, a valid argument. But there's also the possibility that if we give them these things and we entice them enough with enough toppings and Dan's new favorite word, accoutrement, it'll stay with us. So really, do we just have to buy it? You know what I mean? Buy its loyalty? Is it a merc? Is it a mercenary that we need to worry about?
I say, is there always going to be someone out there with bigger purse strings?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
And I think that hot dogs deserve to be fourth on this list because potato salad is completely untrustworthy. Let me put you all.
I can't think of a food that's more down home Americana. All right, go ahead.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me put you into my mindset.
Oh, fuck no.
So we know that potato salad does not do good in direct sunlight for extended periods of time.
I have a counterpoint for that, but continue.
Hold on. We also know that potato salad is based solely on the person creating it. So here is my question to you. Knowing that all three of you have been to sketchy potluck lunches at the place that we used to work, what would you trust less coming in from somebody that made something? Somebody that just bought a pack of hot dogs or somebody that made homemade salad? Again, not knowing the cleanliness of their house.
I have
Or-
another counterpoint.
This was
You
not
can buy pre-made potato salad,
That's 100% true.
and that's what 99% of people are going to take to a barbecue.
That's also
I'm
Let's
just
be real.
saying, if you rolled up to a cookout and you saw a big bowl of homemade potato salad,
If I roll up to a cookout and I see that somebody has brought pre-cooked hot dogs to the event, I'm not going to trust those hot dogs because, dog, we're already at a cookout. Why are you doing that? Like, why do you want us to eat your hot dogs you prepared off-site and then brought? There's something wrong with those hot dogs. We're at a
This
cookout.
episode-
most
There's a
hot
grill.
dogs that you buy, I hate to shatter your worldview here, but most hot dogs that you buy are pre-cooked. You don't have to heat up hot dogs. It is recommended that you do for the heat and, you know, the crunchy bits that you can get when you cook them, but you don't have to cook them. They are pre-cooked.
I know, bro. I
do
was a poor
think-
kid, too.
I have hot dogs in my refrigerator right now.
Same.
But I do want to point out my other counterpoint to what you were saying, and it was your original point that kind of swayed me on potato salad, which is the mayonnaise. Not all potato salads are mayonnaise based. There are mustard based potato salads, as well as, and I've seen this, bougie olive oil based potato salads.
Oh, that is true.
How well is that still going to fare
Just
in the
fine.
sun?
Pretty fucking good, man. Mustard and olive oil is a room temperature condiment.
Look, I'm sticking with potato salad being the sketchiest one on there.
I hear you,
You know, people
but
put,
I disagree.
you know, people, mainly people that look like us, put raisins in potato salad sometimes.
I
Right?
love raisins.
None of... Okay. But
Not in potato salad, but
okay,
just
okay,
generally.
okay.
I
was like,
like raisins too, but not in potato
none of the
salad.
three people that look like us, mainly us, are putting raisins in potato salad.
That's
But
true.
again,
Buying it from Kroger and call
Yeah,
it a day.
100%. Yeah.
that just it lends itself
There are
to
people,
the untrustworthiness of potato
or
salad.
there are people that put razor blades in hot dogs. Don't know what to tell you, Dan. No one's going to argue that point. All right,
Yeah,
so
moving on.
here's my thought. All right, Scott.
I assumed
can
you were referencing something I was supposed to know. I don't know.
No, not at all. Now, can
Okay.
we say potato salad goes to for you and I, or potato salad 3 for you and
What?
I?
Yes, potato salad is 3.
Okay.
It is cornbread, ribs,
Oh my god!
potato salad.
Potato salad. Okay, so then hot dog or baked beans, which is the worse?
I think for me, like, my gut initially said hot dogs, but then I realized you don't bake baked beans. And
Yeah,
now
they
I
lie
just
on the
don't.
resume.
Yeah, I mean, right up front, it's a lie. And then
You
the level
can
of secrecy,
bake baked beans.
but you don't. You
and
don't.
I think
Beef-
the
I don't
baked
care that you
comes
can.
from how they are prepared before they're put in the
I don't
can.
care. Yeah, you can boil a hot dog. You can microwave a hot
No,
dog. You can grill a hot dog. Doesn't
What
matter.
I'm
you
saying
can,
is
you can
the
microwave baked beans.
The baked beans are baked before they're in the can.
I've never baked
How
beans.
you reheat them is up to you.
I've never baked beans. Baked beans are the least trustworthy.
That's because they're baked when they get to you.
That dog.
You know what you have
I
baked?
don't trust
Your
that
brain
dog.
cells.
I don't trust that
Okay.
dog.
So, Dan, are you saying hot dog or baked beans are worse?
No, I'm saying this list entirely should be cornbread, ribs, baked beans at 3, hot dogs, potato salad.
Okay. So, okay. I'm going to have to do the math off air. So, Scott, you're saying it's cornbread, ribs, potato salad, hot dog, then baked beans?
Yes.
All right. And I think I'm going to call it cornbread, ribs, potato salad, jumped back up because I like a mustard potato salad better anyway. Oh. And then I think baked beans and hot dog. So we're going to do the math on this at some point after this episode and revisit
We'll put it in here.
what the average looks like. Because it's been 20 minutes and we haven't gotten to the episode yet.
That's fair. All right. All right. Hello and welcome back to Bracketology, the podcast that definitively decides all things tournament bracket style. I am a balding eagle, Scott Grubb.
I declare independence from you fuckers. Matt Robinson.
Good luck with that. And I will ring your Liberty Bell, Dan Default.
This week, we continue seeing just how jaded and angry Matt and I are and how hopeful Dan is as we continue. Actually, we finalize our most Americanist bracket. Or, Matt, what were we calling it?
Red, white, and bracket.
There we go. So this week we've got two semifinal matchups, and then we'll have the finale. Gentlemen, start your engines. Where do we want to begin?
I think that since we started on the East last week, and to quote Dan, as America colonized this place from the East to the West, I think we should start on the West and then go East. So let's start with Bald Eagle versus Mount Rushmore. Two of my least favorite things about America.
Okay, which one is your least favorite?
I don't know right off the top. So I literally, with 100% honesty, got done editing last week's episode.
Okay.
Like 45 minutes before we started recording this. So
perfect.
I can remember a lot of my arguments and yours.
We're dating the episode, but that's fine.
100%. Yeah. I legitimately, and I know that this is not a popular opinion, but I legitimately think the bald eagle is the worst bird that we could have chosen for it is very American in that we picked it and made it American. But it's just, I legitimately dislike the bald eagle. It is my least favorite eagle.
Why?
Because it's pompous. It's fucking.
How is it pompous?
Because it thinks it's all better than everybody else because it's white.
Only its head is white.
That is pretty American.
To have a white head?
Anyway, but I do think what is more American than idolizing four men from 100+ years before, so much so that we are going to carve their faces into these mountains that we don't own.
3 of whom were slave owners, right? All 4, maybe? Did Lincoln ever actually have any before he emancipated? No.
I think his family did, but I don't know enough about Abe Lincoln. Sure. Please don't come at us.
At least 2, probably 3. We should probably know this, but anyway. Yeah.
It's just it does seem very American to be so arrogant that we are so important. It's like that we are so important. We are going to put this into a natural occurring geological thing. Geographical and geological.
Yeah, a little column A, a little column B.
Real quick, 2 of the 4, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, were slave owners.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. What is more American than that?
Wait, which one? Well, they're both displays of pompous arrogance. Which one are you talking about?
Well, I was talking about Mount Rushmore. I don't want the bald eagle to move on.
Oh, I see. Okay. This sounds very personal for you.
Yeah. I've had this conversation a lot that I dislike the bald eagle, and I get looked down on quite often for it.
Well, it's because it's a bad take. Like,
I don't think it is.
Bald eagles are exceptional creatures, and they're majestic, and they're terrifying, and I don't know. I think the bald eagle...
There are first of all, other eagles more terrifying because they're bigger. They actually go after prey as opposed to just, picking off other birds.
A bald eagle will absolutely go after prey too.
But if it doesn't have to, it will then steal from someone else. That is pretty American.
Yeah.
Second, all right. So what was that about? Terrifying. Second, majestic. I think the golden eagle is more majestic. I think it's prettier. I think that it is, it's an eagle, but it's not out there trying to like show its shit all the time. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. The golden eagle is bigger than the bald eagle, but I don't think it is more majestic.
Well, you know what at least one state says, bigger's always better.
It's the worst state.
That's not even what they say. They just say everything's bigger.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, that's not even. I think that both of these have progressed in the bracket to this point for questionable reasons. Again, as mentioned in the opening of this episode, primarily because two of the three co-hosts here are terribly jaded at the moment. I think that, man, I think this one's a tough coin flip for me, because I do think that the bald eagle has had a better marketing campaign in its favor to put it in that mindset of being the most Americanist of these two things. And I do very much associate that imagery with America. But Mount Rushmore is made up to be such a big deal. And then when you get there, it's like a crappy wax museum and a view over some trees. And that's it. There's like nothing around it. It's not even like really a touristy area. It's just that and like some hotels. And so I feel like there's a lot of looming disappointment in the air around Mount Rushmore. And that, I feel like, could potentially be really reminiscent of the immigrant's path to America, you know? I think Mount Rushmore might be more Americanist in the weight and the symbolism, in the weight and the mirror reflection of what it means to be America. I think is better reflected in Mount Rushmore. I think we want it to be the bald eagle, but I think we need to be true to ourselves here. My vote is Mount Rushmore.
Do you want to weigh in on this?
I want it to be the bald eagle, but I know I'm outvoted.
This has been a rough bracket for you, my dude.
This really has. Like, I feel that you all are just trampling all over my hope.
Damn, I looked up Mount Rushmore on Google Maps, and I had to zoom way the fuck out to find anything even remotely recognizable. And even then, it was Sturgis, which not on the top of my list of places to visit.
Now, I will point out, there is a Yogi Bear like camp.
Yeah.
Real close.
Great. There's one of those 45 minutes from my house. I'd rather just do that.
Now, in addition, before we move on away from bald eagle versus Mount Rushmore, I did look up some stats. Estimates for the adult bald eagle population in Canada range between 50,000 to 500,000. There are 316,000 in the United States. So there's even more bald eagles outside of the U.S. Hey, that's just Google. That's Gemini. I don't know. Anyway,
That might be because they are seeking better health care than our brothers do in the North.
All right, what's next?
Next is the Constitution versus Sunday monster trucks. Sorry,
So
I have to do that anytime I talk about monster trucks.
I mean, cool. There's a possibility we might discuss that 2 more times. I mean, monster trucks are inherently American. Like we big, loud, crushing smaller things under their feet, but then still being pretty fragile in and of itself.
Actually,
it gets pushed onto its back, hard to reset.
Actually, did you know the monster truck was invented in France?
Was it really?
No, I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck?
About to say, that doesn't sound right.
Italy, maybe?
Just making it up. I wanted to see if you'd believe me.
the Constitution. Now, I know the argument last week was that we are not the only country with a constitution.
Not even close.
But we were the first.
But we were the first. But it's not the longest. All of that was stated last week. Now, the other thing that caught my attention while editing that episode was Dan's legitimate, what's the right word for it? Depression at how Scott and I viewed a lot of these items.
Sure.
And
I wasn't looking
honest.
forward to recording the second half of this tonight.
And it should be noted that depression carried on for days. He did continue to talk about it.
Not to me. What the shit? I mean, I was not home. But I think it's important that I recognize what the American Constitution, the Constitution of the United States of America, is set to do is very American. It is in and of itself. The Constitution as a general thing, not solely American, but what the Constitution of the United States, which I think we can read between the lines here on this one, I think that is very, very American. So are monster trucks, and so are monster truck rallies. And again, everybody knows, except for you two, how I feel about monster truck rallies.
Everybody else knows.
It's not my fault if you two have not paid attention in any way.
Here's what I'll say in this argument before I get more depressed. The first monster truck was created in the late 70s by modifying a Ford 250, and that was named Bigfoot. The Constitution has been around the entire time we've been in a country.
That is how constitutions work, yeah.
I just think that the Constitution is obviously more American because we would not be America without the Constitution.
Man, I mean, I know you have a lot of nostalgia about being in the room when it was signed, but
they wouldn't have let me in the room.
They wouldn't have, or they didn't.
I couldn't afford those fancy wigs.
Yeah, they're expensive wigs, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
But I do think. Notice that Dan did not say where the monster truck was invented, just when.
Yeah.
My money's on Kentucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was France, it would be kind of fun.
No, it was definitely in America.
Okay, that's all I wanted to confirm. As much as I think that monster trucks are purely Americana, I will throw my vote to the Constitution for the sake of moving this episode forward.
Okay, my thoughts and vote are irrelevant. Cool. Moving on.
You can still add your thoughts.
I just think that in some way, some regard, or we need to take into regard the, what's the word I'm looking for? The amount of weight that we give the Constitution these days and its relevancy at this point, maybe the strength that it has today. Not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. Gravedigger still as strong as always. Strength of the Constitution, not what it used to be. Just saying.
Gravedigger is also not the original Ford F-250 that it was made. Like, it has gone through many different iterations.
But the spirit of Gravedigger lives on.
However, Dan, your vote
is the Constitution.
The Constitution moves on in this case.
Fine.
I think that we did give quite a bit of weight towards that last week. All right, moving over to the east side of the bracket. Oh, the battle of the food. Apple pie versus cheeseburgers.
Oh, man.
Thoughts? You can always tell, for the listeners, you can always tell when either any of us have something that we're like still trying to piece together as we're about to talk, because we take that big sharp inhale.
Here's what I was going to say.
I also want a count of how many times throughout the course of this episode Dan has said, here's what I'm going to say. Look, he's
Fuck
fighting.
y'all.
He's fighting.
Fuck y'all, listen.
He started to make his point right there and had to stop himself.
The hamburger was created in Hamburg, Germany, and we Americanized it by putting cheese on it.
Yeah, and it improved the fuck out of it.
I get it. I'm not saying it didn't. Look, you were talking to somebody who loves cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers, much to the detriment of my cardiologist and my arteries, are one of my favorite foods.
Your cardiologist is going to be fine.
Well, yeah.
Has not lost any sleep over your cheeseburger consumption.
But the apple pie was also not created in America. It was created in England.
Which is much more closer to America than Hamburg, Germany. Much more closer?
It geographically, it is closer.
Not geographically. They're literally where we came from.
We had German immigrants.
I mean,
too,
yeah, but like most of us.
I think that we hit on a point that we need to touch on really quick, which is that can be thrown out because both of them have been fully adopted by the American people as being American classics.
Yeah, we took them and made them our own
foods.
in a very American way.
Just like we do with people.
To a point.
So I think knowing that they both have been claimed by America, much like we have claimed the land and everything else, it's difficult for me to decide between these two foods based on anything other than my own personal preference. So I'm pulling Matt here, and I'm going to choose my favorite of these two. That's where I'm going.
So you're going cheeseburgers?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why it was so hard to just not finish your sentence with the one fucking word that you needed to say, but
he did declare it as like favorite earlier.
Yeah, just put a cherry on top, my dude. That's what I'm saying. Just
of a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
I mean, pickle on top.
I will. Yeah. I mean, I'd take a pickle, a
cherry
pepper. Cherry pepper.
I'd rather have a pickle.
Yeah, you can have both. It's a pickled pepper. What the fuck? Anyway.
All right.
Got very angry for a second there.
Pepper your pickle.
I'm gonna follow your lead, Dan.
Yeah, and I know what your favorite is.
Oh, everybody knows what my favorite is, baby. Just give me that apple pie. I love apple pie. That apple pie is the fucking most American thing you can think of. You want it lattice? Great. You want it a full covering of the top crust? Great. You want just the pie filling? Dope. That's me. If you want a slice of cheddar cheese on it, do it.
Give me that Dutch crumble, baby.
Give it the crumble.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A little bit of oats in there to give that like that texture. Apple pie is America. If America was great.
Got it. I have to say, I think that it goes back to my original point, which really, Dan, for me, I think you solidified which way I had to vote here. While yes, we are a country of many immigrants, and cheeseburgers came from Germany, and Germany is certainly one of the countries that people immigrated here from. We were originally a British colony, which means that apple pie has its roots implanted in us from the very beginning. It's always been there. Additionally, when warm, you can have sex with it. So I'm going to have to say it's apple pie. I really enjoyed this one because you were so, again, passionate about cheeseburgers. And the whole time I just let you have your speech because I knew where Matt was going to go.
Yeah.
This one's easy for me.
I knew where both of you were going to go. That's why I felt like I had to give my passionate stance on cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers are still going to be American to me because out of those two options, only one of which causes more heart attacks, and that is cheeseburgers, and that is American.
As far as you know.
Yeah, I definitely know.
Again, I think it's important that we recognize Scots want to fuck a pie. Up next.
Yep.
Country music versus barbecue cookout. You can't have one without the other. I guess you can, but
Yeah,
You
you
absolutely
totally
can have a
can.
cookout.
I knew you
without
two would
country
would
music.
disagree with me on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
And as much as I hate to say it, I feel like this one's a pretty easy vote, at least to me.
A
It's
lot of
gotta
these have
be.
been easy votes for you, and you've been wrong. I want to know what your win-loss record is on this bracket.
Oh, it's like fucking all losses except for the Constitution in the last match because you guys are so
And the
sad.
Constitution in the first round. Look, I don't know what you think is stronger. I think both of these things are very American. I think
Mhm.
country music, clearly American, comes from America, really stays in America and doesn't travel well at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Keith Urban's Australian.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. Is he Australian or New Zealandish?
Australian.
New Zealandish?
Australian. It's Australian.
New
You pronounce it Australian.
Okay. Barbecue cookouts, though, I feel like have been. I don't think it's just a lot of these items have been created or instituted by Americans, right? As this is American. While barbecue cookouts have been made really by America, I think that the world has adopted that vision of us without us necessarily having to push it. Like I think like King of the Hill, right? Like media talks about like there's just hanging out outside. You're cooking, you're at a pool maybe, or maybe you don't have a pool and you just have a big backyard, or maybe you don't even have a backyard and you just pop them garages open, set up those grills, let people walk by, grab a dog, take a dog, leave a dog. It's like a take a penny, leave a penny.
I do not want to go to your neighborhood if that's how cookouts work. I would not trust somebody bringing a random
Except
hot
here's
dog
the thing. Except
to my
here's
cookout and then taking one of my hot dogs and walking off with it.
except here's the thing. If I invited you to a neighborhood cookout in my neighborhood, you would absolutely come if you had the time.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to bring a random hot dog to trade for another random hot dog.
Run through, hit the Costco snack bar, and just get wrapped in everything in the Costco wrapper, and then go to the cookout and be like, "I'll take this and leave you this one." Trades here.
Just like the idea that you walk up with the thing of like fucking Nathan's hot dogs, and you look at a grill, take one of yours out and put it on the grill, and then grab a different one that's already cooked. Oh my god, I don't know why that's so funny.
I want one
anyway,
now, but you can have this one later.
I mean, it's not a bad bartering system. On that note, so anyway, all of that to say, I like barbecue cookouts more than I like country music. That's my vote.
I like them more, but the idea of hanging out with family and friends outside, eating dinner, or having a meal is not a uniquely American idea. It's not. I mean, it just simply isn't. Look at Oktoberfest. That's a whole giant festival where a whole fucking city basically has a giant barbecue cookout. They do bigger and better than we do. People migrate from here there to go to theirs.
Yeah,
with
and
one
they
exception.
have Lederhosen.
What exception?
One exception.
They're still
which
eating
is
cased sausage
traditional-
meats, beer.
Which is traditional American barbecue is truly American. And that is a part of this barbecue cookout. Not necessarily always at a cookout, but having brisket or having pulled pork. Pulled pork is constantly available. That is a
Pulled pork is not
American
uniquely
thing.
American. There are plenty of
No, but
Spanish dishes with...
the barbecue meats that we perfected that as Americans.
That existed
the
long
meats.
before us too. Hawaiian culture, they bury pigs and do barbecue meats like that.
Hawaiian is American now.
It wasn't when they started doing those pigs like that, though. That exists.
But it is now, and that tradition is now here.
That's a Filipino thing that came this way.
What are your votes?
The concept of a barbecue cookout is just not uniquely American to me. Country music, like to your point, yeah, there's one Australian dude who's made it, but it does not have the cultural reach into other other countries have not adopted it. We adopted the idea of a cookout, if anything. I think country music is more American.
I agree with Scott. It's got to be country music. Like, the legends of country music all come from America. America birthed that style of music, and it has maintained its popularity in America.
Right there in them Appalachian Mountains.
Yep.
All right, we then move country music on and get into the semi-finals. We got to make these some lightning rounds, y'all. This is a long episode already. So, East or West?
We got Mount Rushmore versus the Constitution.
All right.
You guys know how I feel. I think Mount Rushmore made its way this far because of some very depressing reasons. 2 of the 4 people on top of Mount Rushmore were slave owners. It was a, I don't know if religious is the right word, but for the indigenous people, that mountain had very significant meaning, and we desecrated it by carving 4 Caucasian faces into it. I think the Constitution defines America. And I know Scott's going to say that it has lost power and all this kind of stuff.
That's not what I'm going to say.
That may be true, but it was the defining point of our country. We were the first country to do it. It outlines what our country could have been and should have been, but it was flexible enough to allow for us to grow and improve, which we did.
For a while.
The Constitution gets my vote.
17 of the 55 signees of the Constitution were slave owners. The initial Constitution did not give every person equal rights, including many of which the slaves that the 17 of the 55 people who signed it owned. Like, there's a huge... Everything you're saying about the people in the Mount Rushmore applies to the people who did the Constitution too.
Well, 17 of the 59.
Great. 17 of the 55. That's 17 people. 2.
Yeah.
I mean...
So I think that, Scott, for you and I, we have to think about what is more depressingly American. Because we found negatives, right? We found negatives on both of these. They're not...
The second most important right that we have to bear is our right to guns. That aged well.
Well, yeah. But it is American. It is a defining feature of America. Is that anybody can have a goddamn gun and shoot you in the face.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's exactly a freedom that's laid out.
Maybe not legally, but it's like you have the ability to.
I suppose.
Physically, most people.
What do you think, Matt?
I think that it's shitty, right? I think this side does make me depressed. That's really what this comes down to. The other side, less depressing for me. When I think about what is American,
Remember when you said we have to have lightning rounds?
Yeah. When I think about what is American...
Yes.
I'm trying to fucking think. Vamp for me, you dickheads. I think Mount Rushmore has its defining features which make it American. Founding fathers, quote unquote. Stealing land. Desecrating what is what is somebody else's spiritual ancestral home. All very American. Again, we talked about it in the first round or in the last round, which is the audacity, the pure spitefulness of pride that exists to say, we're just going to put a couple guys' faces up there. Fuck it. Like, I think that is very American. The Constitution is what America wants to be. But to Scott's point from the previous round, it has weighed down a population of this country to the point where I look at them and no longer think of them as American. Because of not to get religious about it, but similar to how people have bastardized or used religious texts for war or for evil, same thing has been happening with the Constitution, and that takes away what the Americanness hope is that the Constitution provides.
It's become a device for debate. People like to pick and choose the parts that they want to apply and listen to and apply to them.
But that has no bearing on the actual Constitution. That is our bastardization of it.
Yes, which is it's anyway. I'm going to go back. So my deciding vote is kind of a coin flip in that Mount Rushmore has been on the back of a quarter, and I don't think the Constitution has. So I'm going to vote Mount Rushmore.
Interesting final deciding factor. I'm assuming it was on the back of the South Dakota quarter. Did you
I declare my vote is Mount Rushmore.
Okay, fair enough. I think that things here, if I were to describe the current state of America, the primary word that comes to mind is broken. And I think that the source of that brokenness is the Constitution. And for that reason, it will get my vote today.
All right. So twice there have been swerves on the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. He got
All
double
right.
swerved.
Apple pie versus country music. I think you all know where I'm going to land on this. I think that apple pie is America in a pastry. Apple pie gets my vote.
And I know that apple pie did not come from America. We have just adopted it. Country music, right here from the U.S. of A., baby. Dolly Parton, right here from the U.S. of A. My vote's going to country music.
You have forgotten the format of
the
the
fundamentals are not there. I mean, we're talking swerves right here at the end stretch. Dan's on a winning streak. My vote is also country music in this one.
Oh, shit.
I do love apple pie more. If I have a choice between apple pie in my mouth hole or country music in my ear holes, I'm gonna pick apple pie. Same. But from a Americanist, a most Americanist standpoint, it's red, white, and blue all the way through. So, all right. Last up
leads us, our final battle between the U.S. Constitution and country music. It's a weird way we got here.
It's a weird bracket.
It is a weird bracket. It has been a very depressing bracket for me. This is honestly a tough matchup because, again, we wouldn't be America without the Constitution. But country music, I think, and this is coming from somebody who truly does not like country music, especially modern country music. But I appreciate the talent and stardom that came from country music. And I don't care what you say, anything that comes out of Dolly Parton is gold. She is a wonderful human being.
Name 3 Dolly Parton songs.
Jolene, 9 to 5. Oh my God. Damn it, you put me on the spot.
That's what I thought. All right.
So you're going country music for your vote?
I'm undecided. Like I said, this is because we wouldn't be a country if it wasn't for The Constitution.
I mean, is that true? Does every country have a constitution?
I don't think so. I don't think
I don't
so.
think we would be America, but we would be a country. Right?
I think
Hard Candy Christmas.
I think the Declaration of Independence also had a big say in the kind of the development of the country as well, you know?
That's a third Dolly Parton song.
I'm proud of you.
One that I listened to all the time growing up. My grandfather got us this little mixtape that he had a guy named Tom Cruise DJ for us, and that was one of my favorite songs on it.
Okay. Did you actually vote?
Yeah, no.
Okay, just
what
checking.
are y'all's votes?
Well, Matt was still debating as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Constitution is really the laws guiding how our government is set up and works.
Yeah.
Sure.
What actually separated us from England was the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
So we became
Correct.
our own thing before the Constitution existed.
Facts.
But the Constitution dictated how we ran as a country.
Yes. And again, I think going back to what Scott was saying, right, is the degradation of what those outlines have become is now a picking and choosing of how I think as an individual this country should be run.
The Constitution wasn't even the initial thing defining us as a country either. We had the Articles of Confederation before that. That was
And
our
we all
first
know
attempt.
all of this off the top of our heads completely. So
I took high school history.
Yeah, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. God damn,
It's
it'd
been
be
a long time.
20-year reunion next year. Ugh.
Yeah. Country music, it's not even like the music of the country anymore. I feel like it's lost popularity quite a bit. While it does still exist, you even said it. Modern country's not the same. Yes, between the fucking 50s and the 90s, country music was king for a lot of that.
But modern pop music is not the same either. Like that.
Sure.
The same thing has ruined the music industry that is ruining the Constitution. It's greed. You know, you get these massive record labels that sign mediocre talent that fix that lack of talent with 15 different songwriters, auto-tune, and guest collaborations. And it just producing ear filth on a mass label.
I mean, aside from your hate for the music industry, I do think, though, there's an argument to be made that a more American music than country music is rock and roll. Or even blues, for that matter.
So when
blues-inspired country music.
When people think about rock and roll, they name a bunch of different bands. And some of those bands, like AC/DC, are not American. The Beatles.
Sure. But when you talk about Elvis Presley, who is the king of rock and roll, when you talk about Kiss, when you talk, you know what I mean? It is kind of, even if you talk about offshoots and you talk about punk, where does punk come from?
England.
Seattle was the grunge I'm thinking of, not punk, but grunge. You know what I mean? There's a set. Either way, all of that to be said, I don't know that country music holds as much weight as it once did.
But if I tell you that I'm going to go to the Music City, where am I going? If I tell you I'm going to go visit the Music City, where do you immediately know that I'm going? If we're talking normal,
yes, I'm aware.
Nashville, which is the home of Sun Records, country music. I mean, that That
But
it's not just the
it's
Hall of
not
Fame.
just.
I mean, it's music.
But it's not just country, even. It is music, right? It is music as a whole.
Sure.
I see what you're saying, because Dollywood is what? Within an hour of downtown Nashville.
2, but yeah.
It's
it's
4?
other side of the state. Yeah.
Is it 4?
You're on
I
the other
guess
side
4.
of the state.
Nashville's
Shut
on
your
the state.
goddamn. Anyway, all of that to be said is that there's one thing that I hate most that's on this entire bracket. And it's not even really on it. But his name's Garth Brooks, and fuck him. I'm voting for the Constitution.
Oh my God.
It's such a lame stance.
That is tremendously lame.
I
Scott,
felt like I
what's your
made my
vote?
other points and you all shat on me. So I made a shitty point and ended it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think that I think country music is uniquely American. I think that other countries have not adopted it for plenty of good reasons. I think that most patriotic songs fall into that category. I think country music gets my vote as most.
Oh man, so it comes down to me?
It does, Dan. In the end, you win the finale.
All right. This is difficult, but again, I'm going with the Constitution. We would not be America without the Constitution. And I know that we have strayed from what the Constitution should have let us be, but I have hope that we can get back to it.
Well,
No offense, Dolly Parton. I love you.
Here's to hoping. With all of that, I do think it's important that I recognize. I made a separate kind of like just favorite icon for the bracket, which is apple pie. Apple pie is the favorite Americanist.
Your
favorite
from
at least 2 of us.
If you say so.
Anyway, I'm calling that out. Constitution of the United States of America has been crowned scientifically the most Americanist thing in this red, white, and bracket.
Now, cue the fireworks. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, God damn it. Now I'm going to have to do that.
Now you have to put in fireworks. Yep. All right. Fellas, that feels like an episode.
It was an episode.
As usual.
Less depressing than the last one.
You got some wins there in the end to help you out.
Yeah. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah. As usual, we want to thank you for sticking through us with this nonsense. If you enjoy what we do here, please share. The biggest help that we can get in this podcast is word of mouth and you sharing with your friends. So please encourage other people to listen. Check us out on the social medias, Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. We're on all of those and probably more. We should probably use those accounts from time to time, but we're on there. Yeah, right. Thanks to Aaron O'Donnell from Aaron O'Donnell Music for the track you hear at the beginning and end of every episode. Anything else? What am I forgetting?
Yeah, we should probably talk about what's happening next week because we don't fucking know.
I was going to say, go ahead.
Well, we told the audience that we were going to do a bracket o punishment as our next big one.
Yeah,
and
but
we've backed away from that.
Does anyone really listen to us or remember things like that unless we mention them?
Look, to peek behind the curtains, truth is we need more time to figure that out because I'm scared these assholes are going to try to get me to get another tattoo.
I sent 32 punishment ideas and I got zilch from the other 2 on feedback or what they would like to see.
I did say that's a lot.
Again,
32 is the number. I feel like we really need to put a little more thought into exactly how we're going to vote through that bracket. Because I don't want us to end up on one end of the spectrum where we all end up bald-headed with face tattoos, but on the other end, I don't want us to be like you have to walk up to a stranger and
tickle their balls.
No, that's not exactly where I was going to go with it, but I don't want us to end up with you have to take a Costco hot dog to a cookout. Like I want it, like it's we gotta figure out how that happy medium is going to work, and I just don't know what our voting process looks like if we're talking behind the curtain. So we'll figure something out. There will probably be an episode next week, and hopefully you'll like it. Hopefully we'll like it. Who knows? We'll find out.
We do have a backup bracket in the works, so we are putting that together.
Yes, best bracket to watch back up. What? Anyway, that's been an episode. Once again, I always wear a hat because I'm a balding eagle. Scott.
I have declared this bracket complete. I'm Matt.
And I'm still ringing your Liberty Bell. I'm Dan.
Jesus. Now I'm just imagining you walking up to a stranger on a corner and tickling their balls.
I'd like to propose amendments to this bracket.
Bye!